Thanks again for hopping on, Cari, to another episode of Untapped Stories. I know we were talking a bit pre-show, but first question we love to ask to every guest is, before you became a parent, been very involved with youth sports, we'd love to take it back to your origin story. So if you can share for the audience, maybe sports you played growing up or what it was like for you as a kid.
So for me personally, I did cheerleading growing up. I did nothing related to soccer, nothing related to football, other than watch Friday night football games in high school growing up. So that's really the extent of my athletic ability,
Okay.
or talents that I used as a kid. That's pretty much it. And that's really where it started.
I think for this is going to be, I'm actually really excited for this chat. We've had a lot of parents on who have like a sports background, but I think you not having a sports background gives you like sports background in terms of playing through high school or college gives you a totally different perspective, like being a parent today. So I'm excited to get to these questions and get your
Yeah.
feedback on them. Okay, so diving into you as a parent, soccer mom, I think one of the biggest questions we hear from parents today is what's it like being on a competitive team? Like, is it hard to find teams? Like, how did your kids go about sourcing the different teams they play on?
So I will tell you, it's very difficult. There's so much competition out there team-wise. For example, my son started on a rec league. Then he moved into a club travel team. And we just recently made a switch after 4 years into an ECNL league. Getting there was definitely difficult. When I went from rec to travel, it was more like I knew my son wanted more out of soccer than just we're going to play on the weekend type thing. So that's how I ended up making that switch. And I really went there through word of mouth.
Okay,
Funny enough, a lot of his team moved with him. So it was a whole bunch of us that just kind of went to the same team.
that's nice.
Um, Moving into this team that he's in now was also word of mouth. And it's because I know one of the coaches, and he was the one that kind of put us in the doorway to go through and stay where we're at right now. But this team is completely new to me. I have no idea what I'm in store for. And they've also brought me on as a team manager, which I was doing before in my old academy team.
Okay,
So we'll see how this goes now. This is new.
I was gonna bring it up later, but I think it's worthwhile to touch on now while you kind of have the topic. Huge combo today about rec sports versus travel and what's better for kids at what ages. I guess you've seen your son play across both, but what are your opinions on the rec versus travel situation?
Rec is great to start out for little guys.
Mm,
That's my opinion. Because obviously, your child may go through the process and say, I don't like it. Rec typically is a lot cheaper than travel, and you don't have all the travel associated with it. So I do believe that starting off in rec is the way to go, and then make your change over into something a little bit higher level versus trying to start higher level from the get. That's my opinion.
and what's for parents out there who are in that spot? Maybe their kid, they realize he or she is talented. They're playing rec. They want to move up into travel sports. What would your advice be to parents who are looking to get their kids into travel sports?
Do your research. Make sure that you are 1000% ready to make the commitment, because this is not a, oh, we have a game only Sunday from 1 to 2:30. Absolutely not.
Yep.
This is get ready to kiss your life goodbye. You will have no free time, no vacations unless they revolve around soccer. That's going
Yep.
to be the only way you're going to take them. So, as much as it's a commitment for your child, it's just as much a commitment for the parent. So, that I think that's something a lot of people don't realize is the time invested as a parent. Now, if you're not ready for that, then maybe that's not the way to go.
Hmm.
Because the last thing you want to do is go sign up for these travel clubs and you're not going to make it to half of the games, or you can't take your child to practice because in those beginning stages, they're not driving yet.
Yeah.
You have to be abundantly sure that this is something you want to do. And research, just do your research. Don't just jump in because it's the fun thing to do, or it's you think it's, oh, this is going to be so simple. It's really not.
What type of team or what type of qualities in a travel organization should parents watch out for? Is it depending on, is the coach the primary point, or is it maybe knowing kids in the program so your child feels comfortable?
It's difficult. You have to do your research on every single aspect. Who's the coach? go to the practices, ask to try out, to go in and maybe bring them in and see how your child acclimates to his new surroundings. Sit in on a practice, see what they do. Maybe you sit there and you're like, what is this? This is not what I want. For example, when I first made the switch, I did exactly that. I went to the practices. My son did a few practices with the team. What do you think? You like it? Great. I already knew what I was signing up for,
Yeah.
but I needed to make sure that he was ready and he was good. And not only that, in a lot of these travel teams, you have to try out and they have to handpick you to be able to move forward.
Yeah.
So it's important to know who the coaches are, what certifications they have. In particular, very important, what league they play in. Is it ECNL? Is it MPL? Is it USL? There's so many out there that you really have to look and see if this is what you want to do and to see what trajectory you're looking for your child to go in. Also, very important. And I hate this. There's a lot of clubs that'll tell you you cannot play high school soccer. That to me is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
I would think as a club, you want your kid, but I understand the reasoning behind it in some aspects of it. So to me, I don't like that. And unfortunately, I did have that before. Thankfully, we don't have it now, and my son is able to play high school soccer. But it's important, especially if their trajectory is they want to get a scholarship.
Yeah.
The only way you're going to get said scholarship is if you're playing high school, because I hate to break it to you, no scout is going to a friendly match in your city. It's not really common, it's not heard of. I'm not saying it can't happen, but the possibility is slim.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can go to these showcases 9 times out of 10. You're not, there's so many scouts there and so many games going on that what are the odds that that scout is going to sit in on your game?
Sure.
So there's a lot of things that come into play. So you have to just make sure you familiarize yourself with what the club expects, what it is that they want you to do and not do, so that you're not signing your life away and then you're like, oh, dang, I shouldn't have done this. This is not really what I wanted.
Not playing high school. I'm just gonna take a pause there. That's
Yeah.
crazy for anybody listening. I mean, my wife was a Division I soccer player. She played all 4 years at Temple. Had a great career. She would always say high school was, the joke soccer league, but everyone played. They had like 6 Division I people on her high school team, and it was a fun thing.
Right.
But you can't just not play for your high school team. This isn't like, the NBA where you're deciding if you're getting paid millions of dollars to go play in the Olympics. I have a sore spot with that with Joel Embiid. He got hurt, but it's like these kids are in high school. Like they should be able to play with their friends, be in their community.
Fun.
I think it's a red flag if you're looking at a team that says no high school.
But unfortunately, they are out there. So, for example, my son right now, not only is he playing soccer, but he also pivoted and now he's the kicker for the football team.
Oh, good for him.
This would have been a huge no-no.
Yeah,
Obviously, now it's not an issue. You know, I mean, he did his tackle. He tackled somebody for the first time ever. Like I had never, and that if certain people would have seen that, I know they would have been like, oh, fine. No, let the kid play. He's like, Mom, I'm so amped up. I'm like, go for it, dude.
that's
Enjoy it.
cool. I know we're gonna keep talking, but that's such a good point right there because if your son is excited to do it and he's in high school, whatever, between the ages of 14 and 18, and he wants to do this, but there's some team telling him no. I mean, again, I just think that probably brings me to my next question, but I think a lot of people lose sight on what kids are really doing with high school sports and sports before they get to college. College, I understand, not playing multiple sports, not many people do. But I guess having seen your son go through competitive soccer, what are your thoughts on building multi-sport athletes and letting kids play multiple sports at a young age?
It's so important, in my opinion, because yes, the ultimate goal for my son is, I mean, if the MLS picks him up, great. If we go to Europe and play, great. But what if the NFL suddenly walks in and says, Hey, you're a great kicker? No one expects it, but who's to say it can't happen?
Yeah,
I would never limit him. In other words, if you want to do it, you want to do multi sports, go for it. My daughter does it. My daughter does cheerleading and my daughter does soccer. You can't lose anything. And to be fair, whatever our future, what they want to do, it's better that they're entertained and in sports and engaged versus what they could be doing if they aren't.
exactly.
I'd rather them be playing two, three, four sports than to sit in front of the Xbox all day. That's just my opinion.
Hmm.
So I'd rather them be engaged and be in multi sports. That's fine.
I love
As
it.
long as they don't, interfere with each other. if you make it work, great. Why not?
Yeah, and as long as you as the parent can make it work too in terms of travel and schedule, it is a
Correct.
lot to go from one season, like basketball game ends, and then you're playing lacrosse the next day. But as long as the parents understand that and the kid wants to do it, I mean that's the perfect situation, I think.
Correct.
I think one thing I haven't asked this before, but you mentioned that you do this for both teams.
Mhm.
For any parent who gets asked to be a team manager, what is that like for a competitive travel team? Is it a lot of work, or like what are you walking into?
Yeah. I mean, luckily I have the ability to do it, but you have to help with accommodations, you have to help with registering for tournaments, you have to collect funds, you have to collect fees for different, ref fees and things like that. So there is a lot of work involved. So it's not just like, oh, I'm bringing apple slices and,
That's
juice
what I think.
boxes. But I mean, that is if you're in a rec team. Yeah, the team mom, that's all she's doing is lugging around a cooler. No offense to anybody who does it. I still think that that's an important role, but it's not as in depth as it would be in a club setting or a travel setting.
Yeah, it's really not like an admin, but I mean you have real functions and a real responsibility at that point.
Right, the coach isn't going to do it. So,
Exactly.
it's make sure the communications are up, make sure you're telling people when practices are, make sure, oh, it's raining, it's storming, we're canceling practice, things like that.
Oh, so you handle all that.
Yeah, when they let me know, yeah, I send it out.
Oh, okay. So you're kind of the liaison between the parents and the coach.
Yeah, I'm like almost like the barrier.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like if you need to speak to like an admin, like a secretary at an office, that you would go to them first or a receptionist, and then they would get you to who you need to
Wow.
speak to.
I didn't envision you saying that. I thought you were maybe again more like scheduling, like overarching scheduling, booking hotels. But the
Yeah.
fact that there are coaches who have essentially parents being admins, I guess that must be a very good soccer team if the coaches have, I guess, enough to do just to be coaching and not do the admin stuff. Because I've coached, but I've always taken on that responsibility, like scheduling, travel, all that. But if the coaches are just coaching, you guys must be a really serious team.
I mean, I don't know in the older division so much, but like even like 14, 15, 16. Oh my God, my kid didn't get playing time. Let me run out to the coach and like, oh no, 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 no.
Yeah,
Time out.
come to me first.
Nope. Yeah, let's figure this out on the side first and then we'll see what we can do. But yeah.
What about, and we haven't asked this to anybody in your spots, and we started to get your answer. I think most of the answers we've
Okay.
gotten have been from people who are either have gone through it or they're coaching. For your son, who's still in high school, presumably based on the combo so far, what's the college recruiting process like? Or have you guys even started that conversation yet?
Oh my gosh. We get so many messages, phone calls, What I've done is I've kind of put them out there on different platforms that cater to recruiting.
Okay.
We constantly get letters and all this. It's just kind of like take it in stride. I have given him the freedom to choose, but I'm also kind of waiting to see who gives me the best offer.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what it is.
Quick side story. My wife got a full ride to Temple, so she took it,
Oh,
but she got partial rides to Clemson and Miami, and those we're from
wow.
the Philadelphia area, so I guess those were more like fun, bigger schools. But when she looked at it, she's like, I could pay $0 for college. Like, of course I'm going to do that. So it always does come down to the financial aspect. But I did want to touch on one thing you mentioned there, because a lot of parents, it sounds like, and based on your your page, you're very social media savvy. I'm sure you know how to work like an online page. For parents who maybe aren't the best with tech, haven't gone through a recruiting process before, what can you do to get your kid's name out there, and what kind of platforms are helpful, especially in soccer when it's so competitive?
So there's quite a few. There's Stack Athlete, Something Zone. There's so many. If you just Google recruitment platforms, they're all going to pop up. And they're usually pretty simple
Okay.
to navigate. And what you do is make sure you bombard it. You record pictures, anything you have. I will tell you, I am very bad at taking video. 9 times out of 10, what you see is the grass. You don't see anything else because I'm way too focused on what's going on. But if you can get yourself a VO camera or a trace camera, I have one. Haven't used it yet. So I'm gonna start to use it now because I figure now is the prime time to get it up and running,
Hmm.
where it just records your kid. Actually, it records the whole game, and then you can kind of pick what you want to upload. But if you can't figure it out, where I know a lot of people just are not tech savvy, no matter how simple it
Hmm.
is, find somebody, pay someone because it's so incredibly important. If you can work Instagram, make your child an Instagram page. You run it, not your kid, because we all know they have like three Instagram accounts and they're all just posting nonsense and nobody's really paying attention. You do it. You put what you want out there and put your information. Create an email that is theirs, but you're the one monitoring it. That's really big because if you put their email, guaranteed it's going to sit there. They're never going to look at it. So there are certain things where even though they're older, you have to take the reins, and that's one of them. So I have an email for my son that I check that it's mine. I go into it, I respond. Same thing. There's an Instagram that I have for him. I run it. I'm the one that uploads things, not him. At least that and hashtags are very important. Just bombard the internet. Believe me, it's going to hit someone's algorithm and it's going to go.
Well, I think when some parents hear that, they'll think it's a lot to have to do that in your shoes. But in today's world, I mean, you kind of have to, right? Like, there's so much competition. I don't think, and it's kind of a shame. I think the world is showing up to an ID camp or showing up to your high school championship game and expecting, like I'm from Pennsylvania, the Penn State coach to come see you. It's just not going to happen. You really have
Yeah.
to kind of work the interwebs, sounding like a millennial, but it's true.
But it's what it is. It's what we have right
Yeah.
now. So the tools are there. You just have to learn to manipulate them for them to work for you.
What about outbound? I know you work in business, so do you actually send like quote unquote cold emails to coaches and call them too, or is it really you put yourself on these platforms, they see you, they contact you, and then you go back and forth?
I let them come to me.
Okay.
I have them message me and we go from there and we can start a conversation.
Okay. I've heard some parents. I guess maybe it sounds like your son's got some talent if you have letters overflowing your door like Harry Potter. But some parents do go on the offense, which I guess you can do too. And there's just a lot of behind the scenes stuff that I don't think parents really know. Again, if your son is good, your daughter is good, they will get seen. But it does help to do the extra legwork to put them in a good spot to be able to be seen.
Listen, and if you can't think of how to, and for the parents that do write the letters, kudos to them. I think that's great. And if you can't, if you want to do it and you can't figure it out, I am an avid user of ChatGPT. You put that baby in there, you tell them exactly what you want to say, and that's going to knock it out for you. So it's not even like you really have to sit and think and figure it out. You have so many tools that work for you, just use them.
Yeah.
Obviously, don't use the same letter word for word, like change it up a bit, but at least you'll get a gist of what you want to say and you can go from there because it's hard to sit there and write, dear so and so, whatever, my son is this or that. No, you just plug it in and that's going to bang out your letter for you. And there you go. You just saved yourself hours of agonizing
Yeah.
writing and checking and making sure and changing. No.
I think maybe one last question about recruiting because you're in this exact moment in life right now, so I think it's perfect to get this
Mhm.
feedback. What about
Yeah.
timing? So, son's in high school. When do you really, as a parent, if your child wants to play in college, when do you have to think about beginning that recruiting process of getting on the platforms and talking to coaches?
Now, now, this time right now, because we're right now at the beginning of, they've already been in, my son's already been in school for like 2 weeks,
But for the for
3.
the audience, what grade's your son in now?
So he's a senior.
Okay.
So yeah, I should have started with that. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So he is a senior. So now is even summer of senior year. So like, well, yeah, right after junior year,
Okay.
you can start entertaining all those conversations because that's when you're going to start getting all the letters from the colleges anyway, because they already know that the following class is coming.
Yeah.
So that's already going to start to trickle in. So definitely, I would say the summer is the time to get everything done. Your recruiting, your letters out. If you're going to apply for any type of scholarships, just in general, that is the time to do it.
That's interesting. And I feel like it's a big year for every kid, but knowing that you're working up towards that over the spring and the summer will probably give parents like a better mindset. I mean, it's just like applying to college, but if you wait until the last minute, you're going to be grabbing at straws. But if you do it 6 months ahead,
Yeah.
knowing that's the time period, I think that's really helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
So, what about just a couple more good questions? But maybe
Sure.
for parents who are in your shoes, they feel what you're feeling. They're grinding through recruiting, through travel soccer, whatever sport it is. How do you take a step back as a parent and actually enjoy these moments? We don't ask this one often, but I feel like, again, you're in that perfect spot where you're so locked in to helping your son get to college, which is awesome. But how do you make sure that it's not like just a job for you and your family? How do you actually like enjoy those moments too?
So my biggest thing is I soak up every single second. It's hard to disconnect from it, especially for someone like me, because this is what I eat, sleep, breathe all day long, 24/7. But you can't lose the enjoyment aspect of it. Don't let it make you feel like it's a job. At the end, this is for your child's well-being and yours, as a whole. This is such a great accomplishment for your child to be able to move forward,
Yeah.
but you have to take advantage of the small moments. And you also have to be ready for any decisions your child makes. Like they may go through it and say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I went through that with him. Luckily, it was a stage. He was injured. He was out for a year, so it was rough.
Okay.
Luckily, that is gone. But you just have to enjoy every second. Like, take everything just as good as you can. Like, don't let it get you down. That's the only thing I can say because I do that. It was really hard though, because I had a hard time like disconnecting and like saying, okay. And then I said, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to focus on all the good and I'm going to enjoy this because there is going to come a time when I don't have to drive to practice.
Yeah.
I don't have to be up at 6 a.m. and I'm going to miss it. So I try to just enjoy and live in the moment, really.
That's really cool. And I feel like the one thing you said there really stuck with me, and I think it will for a lot of parents too. It's the aspect of if your son or daughter comes to you tomorrow and says, "Hey, I'm not playing soccer again. I hate this." I think you have to own that as a parent and know that every day it's fun for you, it's fun for them. If it's through quitting, which happens, or just they graduate out of sports, that day will come. So I guess what are you doing as a parent with the family time to make sure that things are still enjoyable and that's not like your end all be all, and you can still kind of like look past it and know that soccer's not going to be there one day, but enjoy those moments while you have them. It's hard to do.
Yeah, you have to. It's very hard to do, but you have to get yourself into that mindset.
Yeah, that's very cool. What about for parents who are maybe your son's a senior, 10 years behind you? What's one thing if your son was like, just imagine him at a micro soccer field, kicking a ball around right now, having fun, probably brings back good memories. Does for
Yeah.
kid. But like, what's one thing you know now that you wish you knew back then when your son was much younger, just getting started?
Don't push so much and expect so much. I did push him quite a bit, I would say in his teen years,
Okay.
13, 14. Luckily, it wasn't his situation, but in other kids, if you push too much, they just shut down, close off, and say, I'm done. I don't want to deal with it. Don't be that parent. I've been at little games and the parents are screaming and yelling because the kid lost the game because no, don't do that. That's such a no-no. And don't put, listen, you lost, don't worry. Get up and start again. Tomorrow you'll do
Yeah.
better. Focus on where you messed up and then that you won't make that same mistake in the next game. Positive reinforcement. None of this yelling, screaming, punishing. It does absolutely no good. What it does is it makes them lose the love of the game. And that is something I have seen in so many kids, throughout the years that it's very sad. And they may be giving up something that they truly, not only are they good at, but that they enjoy so much because of the constant pushing of the parent. And this is not your dream, this is their dream. So that's another thing we have to learn. Yeah, maybe we're like a disgruntled player that didn't make it, or maybe we never got to play. This, don't push your dream onto them. Let them have their own dream. Don't push them like that because they will shut down.
I like that. And when you say positive reinforcement, I've heard a lot of from social media, the chats we've had, a lot of like high level athletes say in today's world, positive reinforcement is good. They also really hone nowadays on like reinforcing effort. So not just always saying like, good job, even if you had a bad game. It's more, hey, I saw that you worked really hard out there. The result might not have gone your way, but I'm proud of you busting your butt. What are your thoughts on parents who always just say like, good job, two thumbs up? Is that helpful, or is it more like you have to kind of work on certain things, but still not sugarcoat it?
No, you can't sugarcoat it because it's not like when you're 5 and you get like the award
Yeah.
even though you didn't do anything. Like that through the years builds a certain character in the
And
player.
false confidence.
So I do think like, hey, you did well, but I noticed this, or sit down and ask them. You know how you played. What do you think you did? Where did you think your game went south? What did you do? Or what could you have done differently? You have to have those conversations because it's not like, oh, you did the slide tackle and you gave them a foul and then they scored and then it's your fault. No, let them come to you and tell you what they believe they did wrong. And then you, as a parent, can offer the feedback. Now, there's also coaches that the kid does one wrong move and they're pulling them out. If you see that, get out of Dodge. That's not okay. That hurts that player in the long run. Maybe not in that second, but these kids are impressionable. So you have to be smart in the way you deal with them. So I definitely think questioning what they think or what they saw, or if you record it, let them watch the video back and see what they messed up on or what they could have done differently or better.
I like that. Actually, it's a really good point. So, as a parent, when you bring this camera recorder, even on your phone, you and your child will go after some of the games, and if they need to essentially look at film by themselves. You guys have done that before?
Yeah, I'll send it to my son and say, "Here's your footage."
Oh wow, okay. I've seen coaches do that, but I think the parents can get on top of that too. It's always accessible
Yeah.
because parents will be at most games, so you're not waiting for a private lesson or waiting to work with your coach one on one. Because I know that's
Right,
impactful. A lot of times, middle school, high school athletes don't get to watch film. You always do in college because your college team will.
right.
But that's such an advantage if you have that option. So cool. I think probably the last question, kind of a fun one, but it just came to mind for
Sure.
busy parents, busy families, growing kids too. You have so much going on. You're worried about the schedule. Basic question, but what about like family meal planning? How do you go about with all these crazy tournaments? Like, what do you do for food? Is it are you always grabbing like takeout, or do you bring like pack a lot of meals? Because that's where my mind goes. If I have two kids now, maybe we'll have more. But if we're bringing like four kids to a tournament, like, what do you do for food in those situations?
So it depends. Sometimes it's the dreaded let's Google and figure out what the heck is around here. You know, sometimes I've done all sorts of things. I've done it where I know I'm in the middle of nowhere and forget trying to find food. So Publix run to get cold cuts and bread and make sandwiches on the field. I've done that. I look for the closest restaurant. Also, like depending if we're traveling, sometimes I'll get a hotel room with a kitchen, so I'll cook there
Okay.
and I'll like place an order for like Instacart and it'll deliver and then I'll cook in the hotel. I've done that when I've traveled to Colorado. My groceries are waiting for me when I check in. I'll cook for as many kids as I can when I'm there. Like sometimes some of us parents will get together and say, "Okay, we're going to make this day, this the next day, and then it's just grab and go during the day. That's not so bad.
Yeah.
Or leftovers if we've got. But I've done it all. I carry the cooler with cold cuts, I get fruit. I always have snacks no matter what. I always have protein bars or fruit, but it just depends where we're at.
I can remember even back to my high school days, there were always certain parents who we knew travel teams we could go to for snacks. My parents, unfortunately, were not those parents, so I had to find somebody else to grab a banana from or something. But it sounds like planning ahead of time is the move. I mean, if you know you're
Yeah.
traveling, because again, there's so much that goes into this, and I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of a parent listening to honestly, it's awesome feedback. Some people might be like, "That's so much to think about and care about for a high schooler," but it's like that's just the way it is now. If you want to play high level soccer, you can complain about it, but it's like I want every parent would want their kid to play at the gym or the field down the street and have it be like the 1970s where there's no travel. It just doesn't exist. So I think as a parent, you have to like
No.
own it now, know what you're getting into, prep for these things, help your kid with recruiting, and that's just the way it goes. So I think if parents understand that, hear this feedback, honestly take it to heart before they get to that middle school, high school age, it's
Yep.
probably one of the biggest things we're trying to do. It'll be less stressful because we've heard from so many parents like they get into it, they don't know, finances are stretched, time is stretched, families are pulled in a million places. But if you know what you're getting into and you sign the paper, it's like okay, and then we can manage it. So
That's why I tell you, like, the research is so incredibly important. I just printed out my schedule for this season. I almost fell out of my chair. I was like, holy cow. Okay. I'm like, well, then, I didn't research this part of it, but great. Okay. You know what? I'm in. I'm knee deep. There's nothing I can do right now.
yeah,
So it's like, all right, now I can just plan ahead. Now I have a schedule. Now I can kind of like figure out what games am I going to make it to all weekend, which am I just going to drive up and come back. That's it. That's all it is proper planning.
yeah.
And if you can do that, you're golden.
I think it's maybe the one of the last points for me. If you can do that, and if your child is having a blast with it, I've seen a lot on social media where parents will comment and be like, "This tournament's crazy. Why are you playing for baseball? Maybe like 3 games in a day or 4 games in a day. It's bad for the family." But it's like if the kid's really enjoying that, and the siblings are there having a good time, running around the field. Like I remember doing that for my sister, and she did it for me. It's like if the family's having a good time, who cares if their Saturday and Sunday is 12 hours at a soccer field or a baseball field? Like it's the kids getting better. They're enjoying it. Like you said, they're not playing Xbox. They're not doing things they shouldn't be doing. So All things
Right.
considered, it's really not that bad.
I don't know what to do when I don't have sports.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna get to that where you're like, what? I have nothing to do. I have no practice, nothing today. Well, what am I gonna do with myself? What am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to stay home? Like, that's not even, that doesn't exist in my life.
Free.
So I obviously had to learn that the hard way when my son was injured and out, and that was the most agonizing time of my life. I don't know who was worse, me or him. Um, but yeah. I
Empty.
mean, it'll get to that where you're like, oh, there's nothing? Okay, let me go try to find something to do.
Yeah, even when he's, hopefully it sounds like playing in college, empty nest syndrome will come. I know it hit for my parents, and they would stream. I played about 2 hours from home, so they would stream a lot of the games, but they weren't driving, picking me up. It wasn't like it was when I was back in high school. So,
Yeah,
yeah, well, hopefully for you guys, son has an awesome season. Hope it works out for college and
thank
where
you.
he wants. And honestly, just
Thanks.
before we end, kudos to you for building the page. I think there are to find guests for this podcast, we really try to find people who understand sports and preach like the right things. The messaging you have is awesome. I think it's always on point. And there's just a lot of like iffy messaging, we would call it out there, about what youth sports are really about. But you have such a cool perspective. You're living through it right now. So I'm excited for parents and athletes to hear this because there's a lot of good feedback within what you said. So thanks, Cari.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know there was a place for this type of page, and there is. And I was very surprised, and I love it. And I'm also very real. I share the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yep,
My personal struggles. Like, to the parents out there, you're not alone. Like, as much as you're probably like, oh my God, my life is falling apart. What am I doing? I have no idea. You're not the only one. Like you, there are thousands of others. The idea is with my page is come to my page, send me a message. I will respond. I promise you. I respond to everybody. It might take me a bit, but I try to talk to everybody. Check out my blogs. My blog is also, I try to like discuss topics that maybe you don't want to discuss with someone. Maybe you're afraid to ask, you're embarrassed, whatever the case may be, or you just don't know who to ask. I got you.
that's really
It's
cool.
there.
I see when your son's in college and maybe playing pro, I see a consulting business
Mhm.
for soccer parents for you. That'd be really cool. They come to you
Yeah.
for advice.
Oh,
Good work.
okay. I like it.
Well, thanks again for hopping on, Cari. Again, it was really fun chatting with
Yeah.
you, and I'm excited to get this one out. A lot of good feedback, so appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you so much.